Hello everyone and welcome to the WCG for match 4 of the 2021 Australia Day T20 Big Bash, which sees the two-time champions and last year's grand finalists HOWZAT taking on the 2019 champions Wet Up to get us underway in Group D. These two rivals meet at the same stage of the tournament as they did last year, and they meet for a record equaling 5th time at the Australia Day T20 Big Bash. So as we take a look at Group D, which has been referred to as the Group of Death once again this year, HOWZAT, the two-time champions, headline Group D after their run to the grand final last time out. They are joined by their opponents in this contest, the 2019 champions Wet Up, with Young Money, Cash Money looking to put a disappointing tournament last year behind them, rounding out the group. Captains are in the middle for the toss. So the Wet Up skipper Matt White wins the toss and has no hesitation in batting first. And as we take a look at the Wet Up lineup for this year's competition, they still have all three members remaining from that 2019 triumph. The side will be captained by Matt White once again, who will be looking to put the disappointment of Matt's 11's loss in the Test Series behind him and make another tilt for the silverware in this competition. He'll be joined by Gavin Merrifield once again, with the mercurial but often maligned figure Michael Johnson rounding out the side for the 2019 champs. As we take a look at HOWZAT's lineup for this year's competition, they make one change from the side that was beaten in last year's decider. The side will be captained by Brendan Scott once again, who is coming off yet another successful Test Series for Brendan's 11 at the WCG. He'll be joined by Costa Savas once again, who lines up for his 4th Australia Day T20 Big Bash. And it's Daniel Arnold, who has been signed from Young Money, Cash Money in the off-season to make his debut for the two-time champs. Just before we get underway, we'd like to thank our major partners for this year's tournament once again. Campbelltown Motor Auctions, who have come on board this year and have been fantastic in their support, and our ever-reliable and long-standing partners, Harley Cranes Group. It's HOWZAT and Wet Up renewing their rivalry once again, and it's time to get the Group of Death underway. And it's going to be Michael Johnson who will get this innings underway for Wet Up. He's coming off a pretty lean Test Series with the bat for Matt's 11. But the shorter format is where he does his best work. A massive match 4 ready to get underway here at the Australia Day T20 Big Bash. It'll be Costa Savas to bowl the first over of the innings. Here is Zindan. He starts with a good length delivery, but it slides down the leg side, and that'll be called a wide to begin with. So away would start with the ball there for the two-time champs. Wet Up off the mark for match 4. Here is Savas will continue again now to Johnson. Here is Zindan. This one's a back of a length delivery, and Johnson just drops this on the offside to move through for a single. So Johnson gets his tally underway for the tournament, and it's a good busy start from the Wet Up opener. Wet Up no wicket for 2 in the opening over. And Savas will continue to Johnson over the wicket. This one's another back of a length delivery, but this one slides down the leg side once again, and it will have to be re-bowled once again. So a slightly wayward start here from the youngster, as he'll continue to Johnson in the opening over. He's in now, this one's another back of a length delivery, and as this one slid down the leg side again, no, I think the umpire said this is Flick Johnson's hip on the way through. So a welcome dot here for the two-time champs, who will be looking to go one better from their grand final defeat in last year's edition. Here is Savas will continue again now to Johnson. This is another delivery which strays into Johnson's pads, but this one hits his hip and he moves through for a leg bye. Now a conservative start to this Group D opener. Wet Up no wicket for 3 in the opening over with 2 deliveries left. Johnson just easing himself into this innings. Savas will continue again now to Johnson, and this one's a wild hoik across the line, and there was nothing easing about that, as the first sign of aggression for Johnson goes unrewarded. So we arrive at the final delivery of the opening over. Here Savas will continue again now to Johnson. He gets his way on the leg side, but it's been brilliantly stopped there by the HOWZAT skipper, who's dived away to his right. So the skipper leading from the front and backing up his young frontline bowler. And it's a good start from the two-time champs. No wicket for 4 after 1. It'll be the skipper, Brendan Scott, to bowl the second over of the innings. Here he's in now to Johnson, begins with the back of a length delivery, and Johnson's able to get this away, this time on the leg side for his first boundary. It's a genuine loosener there from Scott, and it's been dispatched. Scott to continue to Johnson in the second over. Here he's in now, this one's another back of a length delivery, but it's a wild swing there from Johnson, who's probably thankful he didn't make contact with that, because that would have ended up in Bankstown. So this is a good battle looming here in this second over. And Scott will continue again now to Johnson, who advances as this one crashes into his legs and he moves through for a leg bye. So Wet Up move along to no wicket for 9 here in the second over. Both sides will probably be pretty comfortable with where the match sits at the moment. Here is Scott will continue again now to Johnson. This one's a full delivery and Johnson hammers this down the ground for another boundary. This is proving to be an expensive over here from Scott, who over pitches and pays the price. So Scott is in for the final ball of the over. Here's in now, this one's a good length delivery. It's hit down the ground, but he fields well off his own bowling to prevent a boundary. So that's a decent end to the over here from the men in charcoal. No wicket for 13 after 2. So the Wet Up camp will be pretty happy with where they sit at the moment. Michael Johnson has provided his side with a pretty decent launch pad as they enter the back end of the innings. Wet Up no wicket for 13, and they've still got plenty in the shed. So it's going to be Daniel Arnold to bowl the third over of the innings. Here is in now to Johnson, begins with a full toss, and it's hit towards Savas, who fields well, and the rebound is cleaned up from Arnold. So they've been pretty good in the field so far, have the two-time champs, which has just kept the men in green at bay. Arnold will continue again now to Johnson. This one's a full delivery and he gets an inside edge onto his body, and he's going to move through for a single. So not a bad result there for HOWZAT. Went up no wicket for 14 with 8 deliveries left in the innings. Johnson has moved into double figures. Zana will continue again now to Johnson, and this one's a full delivery and Johnson goes bang through the offside for his third boundary of the innings. He moves along to 14, 18 without loss. So this has been good from Johnson so far. It's just beginning to wind up. Zana will continue to him now in the third over, and this one slides down the leg side, so that'll have to be re-bowled. So Wet Up move along to no wicket for 19 with 7 deliveries left in the innings. Arnold now goes back over the wicket. He's in now, this one's a good length delivery, and Johnson gets an inside edge, but it trickles through to the keeper, so he can't run. So far this has been a pretty even contest between bat and ball. You'd expect that throughout this group. This is easily the tightest to pick. All 3 teams have featured in grand finals down the years. Here's Arnold is in for the final ball of the over, and he ends with a good length delivery as Johnson drops this on the offside, and will move through for a single to end with. So we arrive at the final over of the innings, and it's going to be the youngster Costa Sabas who is entrusted with the responsibilities. Here he's in now to Johnson. Begins with a full delivery which is hammered back down the ground, and it looks like it's crashed into the stumps, but it has made its way through to the boundary. So it's a fantastic start to the final over here from Wet Up. Men in green no wicket for 24. Sabas to continue to Johnson in the final over. Here he's in now, this one's a back of a lane delivery, and Johnson swivels on the back foot and hammers this through mid-wicket for another boundary. It's consecutive boundaries to begin the final over as Johnson is playing a gem. Sabas under pressure here in the final over as he'll continue over the wicket now to Johnson. Here he's in now, this one's another back of a lane delivery, but this time Johnson can't beat Scott at mid-wicket, so it's a priceless stop for the two-time champs. Wet Up no wicket for 28 with 2 deliveries left in the innings. Here is Sabas will continue again now to Johnson, and he advances and places on the offside, but it hits the fence and comes back into the field of play, so it'll only be the single. So Johnson has moved along to 24 as we arrive at the final delivery of the innings. Sabas has brought this back nicely as he comes in now to Johnson, but he sprays this one down the leg side, and that'll have to be re-bowled. So Wet Up have reached the 30 mark, so this will be a stern test for the two-time champs, considering the strength that Wet Up have with the ball. Sabas is in once again for the final delivery of the innings. Here he's in now, this one's a back of a length delivery, and Johnson hammers this down the ground, but he can't beat Costa Sabas. So it's a dot ball to finish as the youngster pulls this over back nicely, and it's 31 to get for the two-time champs. So a brilliant knock from Johnson sees him carry his bat through the innings as Wet Up finished no wicket for 30 after their 20 deliveries. It could have been a lot more if it was not for some brilliant HOWZAT fielding, which restricted the 2019 champions. However, this target will still pose a stern test for Scott and his men. It's 31 to get for HOWZAT to race to the top of Group D. And it will be the HOWZAT skipper who will get this run chase underway for his side. And a fantastic series with the bat in last year's edition. Can he replicate that form here? So it's 31 to get for the men in charcoal. It's going to be Matt White to bowl the first over of the innings. Here he's in now, and it's a good length delivery, and Scott is forward and defence on the offside for no run. So White on the money from ball one. This looms to be a massive over in the context of this match. As White is in once again to Scott, who flicks this on the leg side, but it rebounds off Gavin Merrifield and pops up to Michael Johnson for a catch. So it's a perfect start for Wetup, who gets Scott for a second ball duck. It's in fortuitous fashion, you have to say, but they will not care one bit. HOWZAT in early trouble in this run chase as the skipper goes for a globe. So that's the best possible start for the men in green, as that wicket now brings Daniel Arnold to the crease, brought into the HOWZAT lineup to strengthen the batting, and the two-time champs need him to stand up with the blade right now. So his first task is to contend with a fired-up Matt White as he comes into Arnold for his first delivery. And it's a good length delivery, and Arnold gets his away on the leg side, but it's a brilliant bit of fielding there from Gavin Merrifield, who prevents a boundary. Well, we've seen some brilliant fielding in this match so far, and there's another example of it. Arnold off the mark. HOWZAT 1 for 1 in the opening over, as White will continue to Arnold over the wicket. He's in now, it's another good length delivery, and Arnold gets his away on the leg side for his first boundary of the innings. So it's an aggressive beginning to his innings from Arnold, who is going to take White on here. HOWZAT 1 for 5 as we arrive at the final delivery of the opening over. White is in once again, and Arnold hammers this down the ground for a maximum to end with. Well, this has been a quite extraordinary start to his innings from Arnold. There might have been a suggestion of a leading edge, but it's 6 runs all the same. HOWZAT 1 for 11 after 1. So it's going to be Michael Johnson to bowl the second over of the innings. He'll come in over the wicket to Arnold. It's a full delivery, and Arnold loses his shape as he has a wild swing at it. And it's a dot ball to begin the second over. So a welcome dot there for the 2019 champs. It's been an aggressive start to his innings here from Arnold, as Johnson's in once again to the big fella, who gets his away on the leg side once again. So it's another boundary for Arnold. Arnold has raced to 15 and is standing up for the two-time champs. HOWZAT 1 for 15 in the second over, as Johnson will continue again now to Arnold, and it's a slower delivery. It's hammered on the leg side for another boundary. It's a poor bit of bowling from Johnson, it must be said, but it's been dispatched again from Arnold. Well, this has been brilliant counter-attacking here from Arnold, as Johnson is in once again to the big fella, and it's played away on the leg side once again, and once again it's a diving stop there from Merrifield, who dives away to his right. It's been a brilliant display of fielding from both sides, and that one might just be the pick of the lot. So it's 10 to get now for HOWZAT, as we arrive at the final ball of the over, and this one's a shorter delivery, and he's got this down the ground again for another boundary. Arnold is on fire here at the WCG, as the deficit is reduced to single digits. 1 for 25 after 2. So this has been quite a remarkable innings so far from Arnold, who has swung the momentum back in HOWZAT's favour. 6 to get off 10 deliveries now. Wetup in desperate need of a wicket. And it's going to be Gavin Merrifield who's going to bowl the third over of the innings. As he'll come in around the wicket now to Arnold. And this one's a full toss, and Arnold gets it away on the leg side. Once again, it's another boundary for the big man, who puts his side within touching distance. Just 2 to get now for the two-time champs. Well, Wetup need a wicket, and they need it fast, as Merrifield will continue around the wicket to Arnold, and it's a wild hoik across the line once again, but this time he doesn't make contact. Here he needs to keep his composure here, there's Arnold. Costa Sabas not exactly renowned with the bat, so Wetup still a chance if they can remove the big fella. Here's Merrifield is in once again to him now, and as this one slide down the leg side for a wide. No, the umpire doesn't agree. Well, has this flicked something on the way through? Yeah, it's flicked his leg. Good call. Merrifield to continue to Arnold in the penultimate over. 2 to get from 7 deliveries. He's in now around the wicket. This one hits Arnold on the thigh. He's going to scamper through for a quick single. And a direct hit, and I think he was toast. But the Wetup skipper isn't able to hit the stumps. So scores are level here in match 4. HOWZAT are just 1 run away from another win against their bitter rivals. So scores are level as we arrive at the final delivery of the third over. It's Merrifield to continue around the wicket here to Arnold. He's in now, this one's a back of a length delivery, and Arnold gets a bottom edge, and he sets off for the winning run, and he gets there to cap off quite a remarkable debut for his new side. Daniel Arnold finishes 29 not out to guide his side home with an over to spare, and the two-time champs have done this pretty easily in the end, thanks largely to their newest signing, as they flex their muscle to race to the top of Group D. So in what was a pretty even contest between bat and ball, Daniel Arnold was the difference between the two sides as he finishes 29 not out to guide HOWZAT home by 2 wickets to get HOWZAT's tilt at a third Australian ADT20 Big Bash title off to the perfect start. A return to form for Michael Johnson with the bat not enough to wet up as they now have a do-or-die clash in their next fixture. So as we take a look at the Group D standings after the opening fixture, it's HOWZAT who sit atop of Group A after accounting for wet up in their opening fixture as they did last year. And it's the men in green wet up who have rooted to the bottom of the table, and they now have a do-or-die clash against Young Money Cash Money in the final match of the group stage. So as we look ahead to the next match of the tournament, we go back to where it all started in Group A. It's a do-or-die clash for 2 inches short of a length after their shock defeat to the Six Offenders in the opening match of the tournament, as they now lock horns with the men in orange Smack My Pitch Up, who get their tournament underway.